Hey Ninja Clan, it's Lupine Fiasco back with another daily FaB video. Today is August 28th, the Monday after the Vegas Calling US Nationals weekend. I'm back, had a great experience, met a couple of you at the event. It's great to say hi. Weird to be recognized in public for making these silly little videos that were only intended to help me improve, but I'm glad you're all enjoying them. I'm planning to keep making them. There's always another event. We have ProQuest coming up in a few months, possibly a Pro Tour after that, always another calling, always looking to improve and keep running it back with the boy FaB. So today we're going to be playing a game against Dorinthea. This is a Great Axe build, which I don't know at the time that we're boarding. Against Dorinthea, we do want to go second. Our sideboard plan has us running the same momentum Kodachi, but we are cutting our E-strikes or putting in our sink belows. I'm still not sure if cutting E-strike is correct. Cutting 3 blocks is never great against Dorinthea. Something like double strike might be a better cut. It is hard to get value from double strike through Dorinthea's armor. We have to worry a bit less about that here. Crown of Dominion doesn't block. Tunic only blocks 1 instead of the 3 that Courage of Bladehold gives, and Dorinthea is a lot less encouraged to block with Tunic than Bladehold. But this is all information you can use if any of your local Dorintheas are running Great Axe, but as far as sitting across from a random, I would still suggest boarding for Dawnblade. If you do know that your local is on Great Axe, don't board the sink belows. Go full aggro. We are trying to play less of a tempo game, more just race. The longer the game goes, the more value Dorinthea gets. And they don't have the damage spikes that we would expect from Dawnblade. They don't have the inevitability. So blocking becomes a lot less important. We have a pretty stinky hand here. Sink below, like I said, is a lot worse against this build. What I'm looking to do here, we want to get the Art of War in Arsenal. Leading with the brand is correct. Here we're going to pitch our sink below to a Kodachi, and then we're going to pitch our Lava Burst to the Furnace to generate 2 resources. We'll pick up a Phoenix Flame, send the flame for 2. Maybe we get a card out of Dory. Most likely we're getting the front half of Bracers. Either way, they are interacting with us somehow. We are filtering stinky cards out of our hand and arsenaling an Art of War, while still presenting a Mask of Momentum trigger. And at the time we do present the trigger, we still have 1 floating resource. So really any draw from our deck is live. A second Art of War would be unfortunate, but Rise from the Ashes, still live. It's a head jab. Mounting Anger, very live. This is a misplay on my part. Throwing the Phoenix Flame for 2 does get 2 damage on Dorinthea. They've already blocked from Brave Forge. Choosing not to undo here, we'd have to go too far back in the turn, but for your own play, this Lava Burst should have been pitched to Furnace. Missing a point of damage on that turn isn't the biggest problem, but Flesh and Blood being what it is, sometimes those incremental, marginal mistakes do add up, snowball over the course of the game, and you'll find yourself getting punished by variance. Drawing an all-blue hand, your opponent drawing gas, that wouldn't have otherwise mattered if you had sequenced correctly, gotten a damage where you could. Dorinthea pushing 11 damage with an on-hit card draw, plus the Great Axe block reduction. We're not blocking this turn. This turn is a whole thing. Taking 18 damage from the Dorinthea with them having a card in Arsenal is, I mean, it's big. It's a big deal. They did use their bolters, so they can only do that turn once without something like a glint. They also did not block with the bolters. Because they played a cash-in last turn, it's likely that they didn't know if they would be able to get values out of the bolters, but sort of making up for us missing that 1 damage off the Kodachi, they missed 1 point of block off of their bolters. With the Dawnblade, with Great Axe, similar to Hatchet's Dory, just don't block unless you're going to die. Dory doesn't present on hits without Dawnblade. Dawnblade is the on hit. Outside of that, she might draw a card off of Steelblade Supremacy. She might throw a Command and Conquer, but the weapon attack is never going to present an on-hit that you need to stop, unless the on-hit is you lose the game. For this turn, having an Art of War in Arsenal with an all-red hand and Dory at 36 is not an Art of War turn that we want. We want to save the Art of War for having a blue so that we can actually present a good amount of mask triggers during the turn. So here what we're going to do is look to throw a Ronin Renegade first, then a Rising Resentment, and we're really hoping that Dory lets the Resentment hit. If Dory lets the Resentment hit, then we get to banish a Breaking Point and actually attack with it this turn. If Dory doesn't let the Resentment hit, then this turn is a bit worse. We did get a card out of their hand, and we are still going to get to activate FaB. It just leaves us in a tricky position where Breaking Point can't pitch for a Kodachi because the Kodachi wouldn't have go again. So if the Rising gets blocked, we can't present a mask trigger this turn, but we will at least be able to push some damage. We get a card out of Dory's hand, and we get to just set up for next turn. Hopefully draw into a good Art of War. I had said lead with the Ronin Renegade, we'd lead with Brand here. It really doesn't matter. Rising Resentment getting a sync blow out of Dory is unfortunate, but we are getting some value at least, this Rising Resentment being essentially worth 4 points of value. I had said we can Ronin Kodachi. Oh, interesting. I wouldn't have put myself on this line. I don't know that I necessarily agree with it. We would be looking at 5 points of damage. With what we had left in hand, we can either send Ronin, Phoenix Flame, Kodachi for 1, or pitch the Ronin to Breaking Point for 5. Here, without resources floating, yes, we do have Furnace available if we draw something like Finisher. Say we drew 2 Breaking Points. We could pitch 1 Breaking Point to Furnace, pay for Kodachi, then send the other Breaking Point to at least threaten the on-hit. But Blind Art of War, we drew well enough, right? We'll send a Brand for 3, Kodachi for 1. We can send Phoenix Flame for 3. We'll get another card out of Dory, be able to send a Kodachi. But overall, I think this was a bad play. I think we're leaving too much to chance by doing this. Sequencing here so that Dory cannot interrupt the mask trigger with bracers by blocking a Kodachi, and setting it up so if Dory does full block this Brand with Cinderclaw, we'll send a Kodachi, we'll pick up a Phoenix Flame. We have the option to Arsenal it. Not an option I'm looking to take here. We do have a Shuko trigger available if we play the Phoenix Flame. So Phoenix Flame here is worth 3, and I'm willing to go give up an Arsenal for that. But possibly what I'm thinking here is just wanting to take cards out of Dory's hand. But I really disagree with Art of War in there. So imagine if we had not played the Art of War. Yeah, Dory has an extra card available with a Tunic, but our hand is yellow, blue, blue, Ravenous Rabble. We can pitch our blue brand to Art of War, banish Soul Bead Strike, have 2 resources floating, draw Snatch Breaking Point. We would get to send a Snatch for 5, snap it. We could then send Brand Kodachi Phoenix, Kodachi Ravenous Rabble Breaking Point. Might be 1 resource over there. It would be a much stronger turn from us. As it is, this will still be a decent turn. We can send the Snatch first, snap it, Kodachi Ravenous Rabble, get a block from Dory, Breaking Point. But just seeing how, what did that last Art of War turn net us? 3 damage and a card out of Dory, as opposed to what would have been a much stronger Art of War turn here. Maybe Dory pushes another 3 damage on this axe because they didn't need to block with a reaction, but generally this is just, this wasn't worth it. But Dory leaving a card in Arsenal is fine for us. I like leading with the Snatch here as opposed to Kodachi Rabble. Just getting a card early, getting bracers, making sure these Kodachis are going to connect. It looks like I'm choosing to send the alternate line of Kodachi Rabble, making sure that the Snatch is likely to hit. Rabble attacking for 4 does get the bracers and a card from hand, which makes Snatch harder to block. Something to consider is that our Dory has just used the Tunic, and if they aren't expecting this game to last another 3 turns, they can just give it to us. It's just their armor, but it does prevent the Snatch from hitting. Rabble coming in for 4, showing another 4. Really good for us. Here, I do like throwing the Snatch. I like getting another card out of Dorinthea before I throw a Breaking Point. If the Snatch does connect, then we can Arsenal a Plays Headlong. Snatch doesn't. Choosing not to snap here. I don't think I agree with this line. I would have liked to get this card out of Dory's arsenal. Mitigating some life loss here. We are getting low enough that I want to start thinking about the end game, about just living long enough. We're at a 12 life deficit here. We just need to survive long enough to put pressure on Dory. Here we are going to pitch this Art of War. This line lets us present Mounting Anger, which is always something that is good to block from our opponent. If Dory lets this through, they don't want to give up Tunic, they don't have a sink, or they don't want to block with 2 cards. It's just 1 for 5, which is good. We get to send likely 4, 1, 5, sending, making sure that Blaze can't be blocked by a D-React or by 1 card plus Tunic. We'll have 1 resource floating for the Breaking Point. Overall, presenting 5 links this turn, with 3 Draconic links on the chain, so if we do not get our mask trigger, we will have the ability to pick up our Phoenix Flame and tuck it in arsenal. Dory giving us 2 whole cards to stop mounting anger is excellent. Steelblade Shunt on a turn without the tunic counter is just horrendous. Dory giving us some cards here. We have the option to send Breaking Point and Arsenal to Blaze Headlong, but given that we can pick up and Arsenal our Phoenix Flame, I do like just sending the damage here. Phoenix and Arsenal isn't the ideal situation, but it's still a card. It's still fine. So we have the Warmongers, which does really have the opportunity to screw up Dory's plan. Sharpened Steel, Steelblade Supremacy, Glistening is not going to be in this deck with Great Axe, but against Dawnblade Dory, being able to stop Glistening Steelblade with Warmongers is great. But as it is, we have Assault that we'd like to play. We're going to be able to go very wide this turn. So we're going to save this Diplomacy to pay for the Kodachis. Because we have a Phoenix Flame in Arsenal, we do have the option to send a line that looks like Renegade, Kodachi, Phoenix Flame, Threaten Mask, get a block from Dory, close the chain, Brand, Kodachi, pick up Phoenix Flame with FaB, send 2. In this way, we are getting an extra point of value from our Phoenix Flame that we would not get without activating FaB. But because we have Salt the Wound, I'm much more interested in losing the point of value from FaB's ability and gaining additional points of value from having a longer chain. So this line is going to look something like 3, 1, 2, 2, 1, 5, 6, whatever Salt is going to be worth. Still getting cards from Dory, still pushing damage, ending with a big Salt that would take at least 2 cards from Dory to stop. I do disagree with Kodachi Ronin here. I disagree with this line too. We can only present 6 links with this hand. So sending the Phoenix here is fine, but I would have liked to start with a head jab to get a block from Dory early if they were going to block at all. I disagree with what our Dory is doing here, and I would not expect that from other opponents. Our suboptimal line paid off here because our opponent made a suboptimal block, but I would not base my decisions on my opponent misplaying. We get to send Assault for 6, which gets 1 card from Dorinthea, interestingly. Perhaps they're looking to send something like a Sharpened Steel, Great Axe for 7, but okay, Assault for 6. Dorinthea deciding not to block at all, so giving us the ability to push. We push 6, we take them to 2. The question here is, do we want to blind snap? There are not a lot of draws in our deck that don't present lethal here. We have a lot of head jabs. We have a lot of 1-cost cards. We still have some finishers. We could draw Lava Burst. We could draw another Salt. We could draw a Breaking Point. We could draw Mounting Anger. There are more cards in our deck that win the game here than don't. But something else to consider is how far ahead on life we are. With our armor, we're effectively at 19. Our opponent will be at 2, and we'll have a 5-card hand. There are very few ways that we lose this game, and stripping one more card out of Dory to potentially brick our next turn, in my opinion, is not worth it. I like the safer play here of just taking our 6, drawing our card, throwing armor if we have to prevent any kind of on-hit or catastrophic life loss on the next turn, and then killing Dory with 5 cards. With snaps, it is almost impossible for us to brick. Choosing to go for it here. Immediately punished. So I really did not. This is why I didn't like that line. There is a chance that we don't win taking this line. More chance that we would have won here. Let's say that we still have our snaps. This hand looks exactly the same, but now we have the option to say double strike, rabble, lava burst, snap, lava burst. Instead, this lava burst will maybe go towards blocking something. Dory will present us with the opportunity to block, but we're at such high life with our armor that we could just say, okay, throw the armor in front of it, super kill you, as opposed to now when we are this round's on need, we cannot effectively pitch a lava burst to a Kodachi. Dory not even presenting lethal here. Instead, we will block. Great Axe is going to reduce the defensive power of Lava Burst. Sink allowing us to sink our sink. We're still going to get to present lethal here. We'll send the first double strike attack for 0, but the second will get the Shuko buff to pump it up to 1. Getting to send 1, 2, 3, 4 should strip Dory's hand while also killing them. If it doesn't kill them, it will at least strip the hand. But if we had our snaps available here, we would absolutely win the game on this turn. It's very unlikely that Dory can win from this position, but 100% winning the game is always better than 90% winning the game. We put Dory to 1. We have an Art of War. We're going to fire this off with a full red hand. It's likely that we draw a finisher or a starter that will strip 2 cards from Dory's hand. This Phoenix Flame is still live. We do kind of brick on the high risk play, but we'll at least get to send Kodachi. We can send a Lava Burst for 7, excuse me. So if Dory doesn't have the D-React, then we win here. But overall, I think this game is pretty sloppily played by us. A lot of high-risk plays that we really didn't need to make. The first Art of War we played, losing a point of damage by not starting with it. So our first brand with Cinderclaw missed out on a point of damage. If we had wanted to play the Art of War, doing it first to see what our hand looks like, to shape our turn is much better. Playing it on the head jab that didn't even bring the power over the blocking sink below was a mistake. Snapping the Salt the Wound to maybe win the game, as opposed to keeping it to definitely win the game, was worse. Firing off this Art of War, banishing our starter rather than our Lava Vein Loyalty when our opponent is at 1 is a mistake. Overall, very sloppy from us. I think this matchup is extremely favored. Dory just doesn't deal enough damage, as far as I'm aware. With the Great Axe, they are playing more of a fatiguey, let's kill Guardian build. To my understanding, this is not as good against aggressive decks like FaB, but playing sloppy is how you lose matchups like this that should otherwise be very favored for us. Good to be back. Good to be recording again. Start expecting one video a day during the week. I apologize for taking some time off for Nationals last week, but happy to be back. Happy to be doing greater variety of heroes. We can hopefully break away from Lexi, Icelander, Bravos at this point. Looking forward to making more contact from you. Like, comment, subscribe, follow. If there's any hero that you're having trouble with that you want me to find on Talishar, put up a video, record my thoughts, please let me know. If you saw additional misplays throughout this game, let me know that too. Otherwise, I will see you all later. Good luck in your matches.